These are my top 10 pictures that I've ever taken in my life. And the reason for that is because each of them means something different. This is completely unscripted. I basically just sat down and really thought about, okay, what are the top 10 pictures that I have ever taken in my life that mean the most to me? I have done anything from concert photography to shooting NFL games to shooting magazine covers. Here's my top 10. At number 10, I have my very first magazine cover. It is this one right here. It's a great picture. It wouldn't make my top 10 other than the fact that this was the very first time I was literally on the cover of a magazine. So I'd always been featured in some other ones, but this was the one that they picked to go ahead and to send to 50,000 subscribers on this magazine. That meant the absolute world to me. This was actually like a food shoot shot with this super cool restaurant called Coop 303. It's right there in downtown Jax Beach. Honestly, I love going to shoot there because it's just so aesthetically pleasing, and it's honestly just such a great place to shoot because the background is just so awesome and the atmosphere is just so awesome to be around. So this is the shot, Trevor Lawrence. It's absolutely one of my favorite shots, strictly because this was right before like his rise into stardom. Obviously he was #1 overall draft pick, but he kind of had a rocky first year, and this picture was taken when we won a game right there in overtime. I remember getting this shot and it was right before he was throwing a touchdown. The reason I was super close. I had a 100 to 400 lens, so he was sitting at like the 20-yard line, and I was just able to get a great shot of him calling the plays. But I definitely had to get one Jaguar photo in here. This is probably my favorite Jaguar photo out of all the ones that I've taken on everything. Up next is Yosemite National Park. This was absolute amazing experience. Basically, after I graduated my sophomore year of college, I basically just took 2 weeks, drove across the country. I had never been out west before. It was an amazing experience, and we went to Yosemite, and it was probably the coolest place I've ever been. Like, the only way I can describe it was almost like the forest that is portrayed in like Disney, where you had the waterfalls, you had these like luscious green trees all around. When it was right in the middle of May, and so it was still like warm, like it was 80 degrees, but at the top of everything, the snow was still melting. So we'd get up to the top and there was still snow at the very kind of top of the mountains on everything. So this shot right here, I have it in this kind of darker format, very dramatic feeling, but then I also have kind of a lighter version. This kind of series that I did at Yosemite was probably my favorite nature series I've ever done. I cannot wait to go back. It'll be such a fun second trip. This shot right here was honestly taken on a 90D camera that was about $1,000, and I've used it for multiple prints. It's been in my portfolio for a really long time. This was one of the very first times to where I really thought of myself as a photographer. Next one up on the screen is what I call my COVID shot. This is actually my cousin Isabella. She was graduating, and it was honestly the middle of COVID, and obviously everything was shut down, so we had to get creative. We obviously did the grad pictures in like my grandparents' backyard, but we wanted to get this specific shot, and we used the smoke bombs in the background. It really kind of showed what a lot of the people that were graduating at that moment were going through, because they weren't going to have a graduation. They didn't have a graduation party. A lot of people had basically worked 18 years to get through things. It really showed what that time frame was, and I feel like in 50 years I'm going to look back at that picture and it's going to remember that time frame of, okay, what the pandemic really was and kind of what was happening during that time. Just a really cool shot in my opinion, and it has a special place in my heart just because it also kind of brings me back to that time period of kind of unknowingness. Next one, I am going to actually link these three into everything. Probably the shot of Ronnie is one of my favorites, not because it was my shot whatsoever, but that's just like such a physical specimen shot to where you can literally just see like every muscle lining. But this was kind of a lot of start into more of the athletic realm on everything. The training sessions, they were out there. Now a really good friend of mine, Kareem Birch, he was a trainer out there. He basically invited me out there to go get some shots. We developed a friendship over time. When I showed up, I thought it was really going to be him and maybe some high schoolers, and it was Jaguar players and college players. Mac Jones was out there, and it was just really cool because it was these NFL guys and kind of top-notch guys, and we were out on this dirt dirt pile of a football field to where on Saturdays they're literally playing Pop Warner out on, and it really did not matter whatsoever to them. They just wanted to be out there getting as much work in as possible. So this next one is actually something that I've had printed up around and given to different people, but I call it Desert Drive. It actually has two different color sequences for it. This was taken in Utah. Being from where I'm from, there's obviously roads that aren't populated, but you're at least going to see a car or two every couple of minutes. But here, I mean, you're talking, this is literally a highway, and we would go hours without seeing another car. And that was just a really cool experience for me. I got this shot. It makes me think of kind of being alone and kind of in that moment on everything. Next up, this is going to be a very recent one. This is actually of Luke Bryan, a concert I shot a couple months ago. Really cool experience. Riley Green was also there. I really like Riley Green. It was just super cool, and it was a great first overall experience into kind of that concert photography. I mean, Luke Bryan is a pretty great start for someone to start your concert shooting in. Yeah, this was just a shot that I really loved. You can see kind of the lights, you can kind of see the atmosphere behind it, and I mean, just the thousands of people just roaring in excitement that were literally right behind me, and I'm 2 feet from this guy. This shot is printed up in my apartment. It is all over the place. I think we have it on our webpage. Basically the Jacksonville skyline. I took this with the drone. I have it in black and white. I also have it in color. Again, I think it just symbolizes a lot. This is where I started my business. This is where my business currently resides. This is where I plan to continue to grow my business. I love Jacksonville. I left it and I hated it. I was like, this town sucks, as every kid does about their hometown. I came back and I realized there's a lot of opportunity here. There's a lot of great people here. That this town is small enough to where you can still keep a lot of the connections, but big enough to where you can still grow as big as you would like. And the city seems like it's reinvesting back into itself. So I take pride in living in this city, and I honestly just really look forward to the growth that is going to be set upon. But I use this picture in a lot of prints. People have approached me about buying this print. It's in multiple books that I have. It's been published in a few different places, but this is simply off the California coastline, and there's this beautiful Joshua tree sitting right there, and I just had to snap this photo. It gives me tons of kind of like African safari vibes, but it was taken right off the coast of California, and that's such a pretty state. There's like with that one, we were literally just driving along the road, and I saw that, and we had to stop, and I had to get that picture. And this one right here is my favorite picture. This is actually of my great aunt Charlotte, who is currently 99 years old. This one is taken with her and her husband right before he was about to leave for World War II. He was actually a paratrooper that came down on D-Day. So a really cool story, but this is just basically her holding up that original printed picture that was taken right before he was about to leave. It was just really cool to get that moment kind of in time to where you're seeing her as, you know, much older, but you're kind of also seeing kind of her younger self. I think that this picture is going to stay with me forever, and I'm going to be looking at it from years on, hoping that I get to be doing this exact same thing one day, to where I'm that age, holding all these old pictures that were taken decades and decades ago. This is my overall #1 picture. Again, this was taken on an iPhone. It just symbolizes so much. For me, is like looking at a piece of art. You just see the amount of stories that have gone on between her now and her then. You're just seeing a lifetime of stories and a lifetime of experiences and a lifetime of knowledge that she's been able to take on with her in her later stages of life. But thank you guys for watching. A little bit different of a video, but we are on our way to 500 subscribers. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. See you later.